So, how's it going, Derek?
Goes well, for the most part.
Yeah. Well, we're back with half of the Fargonauts crew for another movie series, Rankdown.
For this particular one, Ryan and I, we got 3 movies through by happenstance and realized we only had one more theatrical release to go before we were done with the series. And with the 20-year anniversary coming up, we decided, hey, relevant enough. So we will be doing the 4 theatrical Pokemon movies.
Not the entire series.
Worst to best. No, not all the Pokemon movies.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got the patience for that.
Just the first 4 Pokemon movies.
Worst to best. We were nostalgic, and we decided to just go back and see if these movies were as good as we remembered them being.
They weren't.
For the most part,
they weren't.
They were not as good as we remembered them. So with that, let's kind of get started. All right, Ryan, what do you got at number 4? Because there are 4 movies. Actually, we should probably list out which ones. Okay, so Pokemon first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. Pokemon movie 2000, Power of One. Pokemon Spell the Unknown, and
Pokemon
then
3 Spell the Unknown.
Yep, and then Pokemon Forever.
Forever. Woo!
With Celebi, it had some name.
And Suicune. I can't remember what it had a subtitle name. Yeah, alright, so my number 4. Pokemon Forever is last. I decided,
Wow.
I was thinking about this real hard, and I couldn't come up with a decision yesterday, and today I finally made my decision. Pokemon Forever got last place. You know, during the movie I thought I was going to beat some of the other ones on the list. I don't want to give away what they're going to be. But really, it just, looking back at it, it wasn't very memorable to me. Like, look, I can barely remember it, and I watched it yesterday. See, some of the other movies on the list, and I'll talk about those in more detail when we get there, had higher highs, but lower lows. And Pokemon Forever was just kind of more middle of the road. And I almost think that made it worse. It probably had the more solid story structure than some of the other ones, but at the same time, it just wasn't as interesting. And there's just too many moments of Celebi, Ash, and Sam just frolicking around and not really adding anything to the plot. So, it just wasn't very memorable.
I do agree with him that they had too many frolicking montage sequences with Celebi flipping in and out of the water, up and around, going B, 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 and Sam and Ash developing a best friendship over the course of 2 days.
Yep.
But it's a kid show, and I will forgive the movie for that. I do agree with most of what he says, though. It definitely is more consistent than 2 of the other movies in the series.
Yes.
And low lows are a really big thing for me, which is why for my worst movie, and this might be unpopular, Pokemon first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. This movie was hot garbage, in my not so professional opinion. I was really excited. The beginning of the movie is pretty good. Even though they basically copy and pasted from Land Before Time, the opening sequence of under the water and little critters, you know, and then even the narrator talking over it, like, oh, the world of Pokemon is amazing, and life, and this and that. I'm like, this is straight from Land Before Time. Evolution is a thing. But then they show, like, Mewtwo being created and not having control over his powers and being abused, and then he basically ends up killing a whole bunch of humans, which I think is the only time I've seen where, like, people die on screen in Pokemon, ever. So
they get wrecked.
They get disintegrated. And then, like, Giovanni shows up or whatever. But so, like, the opening sequence, I was like, wow, as a kid I never appreciated the fact that, like, Giovanni actually does help him control his unfathomable power. Without Giovanni, Mewtwo does not become the villain or the antagonist or really anything, because he would just destroy himself and probably the world. So I appreciated that. Everything after that was horrible. Ash Ketchum is cocky. He doesn't care about anything except himself and Pikachu, and the rest of it just seems to be all talk. They say in the movie, this is like a direct quote from Misty, Pokemon aren't meant to fight.
Ugh, worst message ever. That's all they do.
That is literally all they do. And the other thing about this movie that I didn't like is it gets quoted all the time. You see it on the internet that, oh, Pokemon's so deep. It's the Meowth quote about maybe if we focus on what's the same instead of focusing on what's different, well, then who knows? And then the Mewtwo quote where he says, it is our choices that make us who we are, not the circumstances of our birth. The whole movie, I think, was built around those two quotes, which are good out of context, but in context, they don't make sense. I mean, they make a little sense, and it kind of takes away from the meaning. So, altogether, the movie had the lowest lows, and the only high point are the dad jokes from Team Rocket and Mew being extremely carefree in the face of a serious opponent. Mewtwo's all, I'm more powerful, and then Mew's like, I've got better things to do. So that was pretty funny too. But other than that, I really didn't like the movie at all. It ruined that memory for me. So if you like that movie, don't go back and watch it.
Wow.
Just
didn't know it was that bad on you.
It was for me because you always remember Mewtwo being so awesome and was in Super Smash Brothers and all Mewtwo. You just think Mewtwo and you think power, awesome, and then you watch the movie and not good. Not good. Anyway.
Which is, before we get into my third place movie, I just want to say, I think the highest high of all these movies, just in general, is Team Rocket.
Yes.
Team Rocket is phenomenal. They are by far the best characters in the show and the movies, and my particular favorite is James. I think James is the greatest character in the entire series.
Yep, I would agree, and I think that a lot of the internet agrees. I think I've seen character breakdowns before.
James is wonderful. He's so funny. The whole Team Rocket's hilarious. They are by far the best part of all the movies, I think.
Yep. Which actually kind of leads me into my third place ranking, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So for my third place, Pokemon 3 Spell of the Unknown. To me, this movie was, let's try and use some new 3D animation technology and make it look relevant. So they have the Unknown come out and grant the wishes of a girl who had lost both of her parents. The reason I say that this is relevant, Team Rocket is barely in this movie. They even break the fourth wall and say, maybe we'll get more screen time in the next movie. Team Rocket isn't there, the humor factor isn't there, you know, the roll your eyes moments just aren't in this movie. And then at the same time, it's all taking place in sort of this eerie, strange, nightmare Tim Burton world of the little girl who lost her parents. Basically, instead of, you know, wishing the Unknown bring back her parents, she wishes that the Unknown bring her father, just her father, back as the legendary Pokemon Entei, and then he basically sits there the whole time and just says, if that is your wish, if that is your wish, if that is your wish, I'm going to go do these things. I will say the first act of this movie was pretty good. I would say that it would be better than Pokemon the first movie, in my opinion. But after you get into Act 2, which is when Ash's mother gets kidnapped, spoilers, the movie just kind of goes off the rails a little bit, and not in the good way, because there is definitely a right way to go off the rails.
Oh, yes.
And then the third act, I swear if I have to watch one more Crystal Vine Thorn come out of the ground, I'm just going to give up on children's anime forever, because it was horrible. The best part of this movie was Charizard coming back, and it was completely wrecked by the 10,000 cutaways of giant crystal thorns growing. And then not to mention the Tinkerbell twist at the end where you just have to believe in Entei. If you believe I can do it, you need to believe that I can do it, otherwise I can't.
Yeah.
And in the end, didn't make any sense either, but I won't even get into that. Overall, not a good movie, but the lows were not as low as the first movie, and that is why I've decided to put it one step ahead. Also, the first act does save it for it a little bit as well.
First act.
So.
Okay, well, my number 3 is Pokemon the first movie. I was really having trouble deciding which one was lower, 4 or 1, and 4 was just a little bit more boring to me. 1 is a worse made movie, but more entertaining to me than 4. That was like, it was splitting hairs, but that was the final decision maker for me. With 1, I'll go through just a few things I like about this movie. I enjoy Mew too. I mean, he's not like a great character by any means, but he's just kind of
Not.
fun. Like it's fun seeing him, and he is a badass. Mew is awesome. Mew steals the show whenever Mew's on screen. He's great. She's great. Whatever. Mew. It's just so fun. And Team Rocket, of course. You know the Vikings joke. You know,
Yep, they crack a Minnesota Vikings joke.
and
So
being from Minnesota,
I do appreciate that.
I didn't know Vikings still existed.
They mostly live in Minnesota.
It's just so great. Oh, that was amazing. And let's see, did I like anything else? Not really.
There was even that stroke joke in that movie. Stroke! Stroke! Oh, I think I'm gonna have one.
Yeah, like I said, Team Rocket always delivers. Every time Team Rocket's on screen, they're gold.
Yep.
And then there's a scene where Team Rocket's on screen with Mew, and it's just like, oh, this is great.
Yep.
So those are all the things I like. What I don't like is everything else.
Yep.
It's just, the message is stupid. The act structure is kind of messed up. It's like a one-act setup, and then Act 2 and 3 are just kind of moshed together. It's really a weird structure. It's just the beginning and then the end. There's no middle.
Act 2 and 3 is basically one long battle.
Yep.
That
not a very good one either.
No, not well done at all.
It's just not very fun. I mean, I remember, you know, I could see why I loved it when I was a kid, because I was an idiot, mostly. But yeah, it's got a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it deserves it.
I agree.
It's more entertaining than the fourth one, and I think that might be mostly because of nostalgia, in my opinion.
Yeah. So that kind of leads into your second movie then.
Yes.
Number 2.
Yeah. Number 2 is Pokemon the third movie, which I have a lot of the same problems. 3 and 1 are similar in a lot of ways. They're both kind of horseshit.
Yep.
They're all kind of not good. But with 3, like I said, it's got a really good first act, a really solid setup, and I kind of like most of the second act. I know it goes off the rails a little bit, but I found that pretty good. Like, I was pretty impressed with the movie up throughout the first 2 acts. The third act goes full Michael Bay in the worst possible way.
There aren't even any explosions.
No, there's a few, but they weren't very interesting ones.
No.
Because, Charizard was shooting fire and Entei was shooting purple balls. There's a few explosions. Yeah. Explosions on ice for like 20 minutes. I'm just like, ugh.
And you're just waiting for it to end.
Team Rocket has... It's gold, but it's not very much.
It's 4 scenes, maybe. And I shouldn't even say scenes. It's more like 4 lines.
Yeah. It's not much. They have very little to do with it. It's good when they're there, but they're not there very much.
I feel like the writers, they made the movie and they're like, oh wait,
we've got Team Rocket.
Team Rocket needs to be here, and so they don't play any consequential part in the film at all. If they weren't there, it wouldn't make a difference.
I guess they helped save Ash's life once at the end when he was almost about to fall out of the tower, and and then Brock and Misty caught him. Yeah,
but I feel like that's just as easy to just...
Yeah, they didn't have to be there. But...
To draw them in over the top. Like, they wouldn't even have had to reanimate anything to add them in there.
They added like one line, like, hey, what are you doing here? And they're like, well, we're not... No one gets to destroy you but us, or something like that.
Yeah, it was...
Like, throwaway line.
Yep, throwaway shot.
I thought it was interesting. I think 3 probably has the most interesting antagonist than the little girl.
Is the most well-developed and the most understandable, because when you're in the mind of a child, anything can happen. And especially when those wishes are coming true. And that's where I do forgive the movie a little bit.
Yeah. It tried something very different.
And I agree with him that easily the most well-developed antagonist, because Mewtwo was not well-developed.
No, none.
And I think he's probably the second best antagonist.
Yes, I'm gonna agree. Mewtwo's probably second best.
Yeah. So
worst is, I think, is the Iron Mask.
Iron Marauder, and I'll come up with that in a second for my number 2.
Yeah. But spoilers.
But
yeah, Pokemon 3. It was fun for a while, but that ending is just awful. It's just a mess, and it's just draining. So I wish, with some tweaks, 3 could have been really great.
Mm-hmm. And kind of to go with that, Pokemon 4, I think with a few tweaks, that movie could have also been really good. My number 2, Pokemon Forever, Celebi. So basically the first thing I want to say about this rating is that when I considered it, I cut all of the necessary frolicking out of the movie completely. Take out that 3 minutes, which, I mean, 3 minutes becomes pretty agonizing over the course of like a 71-minute film.
Yeah.
Cut it out, because they needed to have all the flashbacks of the laughing there to make the kids understand why there is significance to events that are happening, or to illustrate the fact that Celebi was dying, but is now healed. So I see why they're there. It's there for the kids. So from my personal opinion, I just rip it out. Take that out. Just take it out, throw it away. The things I don't like about that movie, I agree with Ryan. The Iron Marauder, he's a member of Team Rocket, is the main antagonist. Basically, your typical, I want power.
Very one note.
Yeah. Very good versus evil kind of thing. No depth to his character at all. And then give him ridiculously powerful technology that we've never seen before. He's got these things, they're called like dark Pokeballs or something like that. You catch a Pokemon in it, and it automatically raises them to level 100 and makes them evil. So, as you can see where this is going, ends up capturing Celebi and makes it evil, and then of course the power of friendship brings Celebi back.
Dumb.
That is another issue I have in the movie, is the twist. There was definitely a way to incorporate the Pokemon Suicune and some of his lore to solve this problem in a little bit more practical fashion than the power of friendship. But again, more clever way.
Anything else.
But again, it's a kid's movie, and I understand that it needs to be the power of friendship. You need to teach kids that living in cooperation and living in friendship, and that's all important. So I want to get to the things about the movie that I do like. One, this movie is hilarious. It is the funniest of the 4 movies, in my opinion. Team Rocket has so much more screen time, and they tell so many jokes, as is tradition.
Yes.
And Jesse even has a shining moment in there, a redeeming moment. Brock has a lot of witty one-liners in the movie.
Yeah.
And then, honestly, there was a twist at the end with one of the characters who ended up time traveling that I really did like, and...
Yeah, it is a good twist.
And I love a good twist, and I love good character development, and the character that you learn about is one that you don't really get a whole lot of insight into over the course of the series, over the course of the movies. You just kind of know the characters being there, and you get a twist. And I really enjoyed that. It made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, and because of that feeling, because of that ending, I was able to forgive a lot of what the movie lacked in the middle. And I would also say that because it was so consistent, and because low lows really matter to me, because if I hate my life for 20 minutes during a movie, I don't care what the best 20 minutes look like, because I'm not going to remember it.
Right.
So the movie was more consistent, and it had a great twist ending, and it was funnier. I laughed so much during the movie, so that's why I made it number 2.
That's fair. And like I said, it was tough, with at least between 4 and 1.
And I can see where his taste would have that be in 4th for him. So.
But to be clear, out of the 3 movies that we've talked about so far, none of them are good.
No.
None of them are good.
I would not go out of my way to recommend these movies to, first of all, anyone who just wants to know what Pokemon is like. Don't do it. Just play the game.
Just play the game.
Just play the game. Even if you don't understand what's going on, you'll have a better time.
Yep.
Yeah, these movies aren't.
And anybody who did like them when they were a kid, don't ruin them for yourself. Just remember them for what you think they are. Because they're not, but just pretend they are. Don't watch them.
Just remember them. Just keep those memories close. Don't go back and watch them again. The movie is being released select theaters around the country tomorrow, and I think on November 1st.
Don't do it.
Don't go to those 3. However, there's one movie that when it goes into theaters, again, you should go to, and that is...
Pokemon 2000.
Pokemon the movie 2000. I think that Ryan and I are in total agreement about this movie's strengths and its weaknesses.
Yep.
But this movie was a lot of fun. I don't know if you want to start off a little bit here, but...
This movie was... I remember it being my favorite when I was a kid.
Yep.
But again, I was an idiot.
Yep.
So I could have easily been wrong, but man, was I right this time. This movie was legitimately good. Mm-hmm. It was epic. There was serious stakes here. We got some real development for Ash. He's actually not a stupid little prick for once, because he is most of the time.
And as long as we're talking about character development, you get character development for Ash's mom a little bit. You get character development for Misty.
Yep.
You get very little for Tracy, but I mean, 2 of the 3 main characters, you see Ash and Misty, they get some character development in this movie.
Team Rocket gets character development.
I forgot about Team Rocket. Team Rocket is probably, arguably, the most character development in this movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. They have a great arc in this movie.
Yes, they do, and they are a very significant player in this movie.
They're like basically the heroes.
Yeah, they're the unsung heroes of the movie, and
not spoilers. They sacrifice themselves And like this went over my head when I was a kid, but they thought they were gonna die. They sacrificed their lives, they think, to save the day, and they ended up living.
Mm-hmm.
But they were well aware that they could probably die, or were probably gonna die, and they did it anyway.
And that was another thing, actually going into Team Rocket Sacrifice. Basically what happened, Ash is riding Lugia like a horse, trying to get, you know, the world back in balance. And if they don't get there fast enough, the world's going to end. So they are holding on to Lugia's foot, and they're weighing him down. So they're like, the world will be lost if we don't let go. And so, like, all at once, they all let go when they're spinning off towards the bottom. If they hit the ice, it's implied that they're going to die. But then there were all the Pokemon there to help save the day. They broke the ice so that Team Rocket, instead of hitting the ice, they hit the water and they survive. And then Lugia says to Ash, the Pokemon are here in case they're needed. And so the whole reason that all those Pokemon went there was to save Team Rocket, because that was all they contributed. So it had the little things too.
Yep.
Like this movie, even if you go into the nuances, it holds up well. The one critique that I have for this movie, they read the legend too many times.
Yeah.
Because the movie opens up with the antagonist reading the legend of fire, ice, and lightning, and the world shall turn to ash. They read it 4 times over the course of this movie, and that was a little much for me.
Yep.
But I can forgive it because kids need repetition. They're not going to pick it up if you only read it once.
Because it was a clever little thing, the world turning to ash.
Yeah, because you think world will be destroyed, but it's actually turning to Ash Ketchum, which
that's unfortunate for the world, but it worked out.
But this time, Ash actually steps up to the plate. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking with Ryan, one thing about this movie that we loved, there's not a single Pokemon battle between trainers in this movie.
No, there isn't.
Not one.
Nope.
And that is part of the reason the other movies were so bad.
They were kind of just forcing Pokemon battles in.
Yeah, we need to just get this in here somehow.
Yeah, and it didn't really work. You know, the 2 was more of an adventure save the world type movie in the Pokemon universe.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about Pokemon.
Yep, it was about the world coming together as one in order to save the world. And I mean, even the name, like the power of one, but
it wasn't the power of one. It was the power of many.
It was the power of many
working
in harmony
to save the world.
To save the world, like we all came together for a common goal here.
Yep.
And even Team Rocket, in the face of total annihilation,
stepped up to the plate.
Step up to the plate and really saved the day. They are the chief heroes of this movie.
And I just love that whole sequence where they're tearing across the ice up to Ice Mountain.
Yep.
It's a really cool sequence.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, the animation.
It was really good. They didn't go into 3D bullshit.
Yep.
Except for the underwater stuff. But that was fun.
Yeah, yep. That wasn't even so bad because it was really blurry and not overt.
It just made it stand out. It was pretty cool, I thought.
Yep.
But it, just
appropriately
used 3D animation, and the 2D stuff was awesome.
Yep. Yeah, in the character development, you actually find out that Misty and Ash do have feelings for one another. Mm-hmm. So, like, whenever this series ends, Ash is going back to Cerulean City, and, him and Misty are probably going to be together. Totally cool with that.
Yep.
Because you actually get them to admit it. And you don't see that in any episodes, really. You see, like, jealousy, maybe, but you don't see the words. Or, like, you don't hear the words.
Movie could have used some more Brock, I will say.
Yeah, that is the one thing I think we also agreed this movie.
Yeah, Brock just has a cameo appearance in like 2 scenes.
Yep, and Tracy is not as strong of a character as Brock. I think that the writers realized this and brought back Brock pretty quickly.
They didn't even give Tracy much to do in the movie because I think everybody realized, like, he's not much of a character. Not much he's just here.
They left him on the boat.
Yeah. Which is fine. It worked out. The rest of it was strong. That is totally overlookable. But Pokemon 2000 is, I think, genuinely a good movie. Nostalgia aside, I think it is a very good movie.
And lastly, just last thing, soundtrack.
Yeah.
The music in this movie is so memorable. It will get stuck in your head, and it's got that epic, gripping feeling to it. I mean, obviously not like your Star Wars or your Lord of the Rings, but it definitely has like that eerie, something magical, supernatural is going on, and we need to figure it out. And when you watch every other Pokemon movie and you hear that opening sequence, in your head you will fill in Pokemon the Movie 2000's music in over the top of whatever horrible music the other 3 movies had.
Yeah.
So, Pokemon the Movie 2000, I give it 3.5 out of 5.
I give it 4.
4?
Yeah.
I say 3.5 out of 5 just because there are a lot of movies I like better, but that one pleasantly surprised me, especially coming after Mewtwo.
Yeah, and the other 3 movies were all ranged between 2 and 1 star.
Yeah.
They're all about 1.5, 2 star.
I'd probably say 1 to 1.5. But that's me. I'm more harsh on bad movies.
Yeah, you are. Not good. But yeah, Pokemon 2000 is definitely worth watching. If it does come back to theaters, I really recommend seeing that one. Skip the other ones though.
Yep, just hard pass.
Yep, hard pass. Just remember it for what you think it is. Got anything else to say about this, or?
For the most part, Pokemon should have stuck to the games, but they've built a worldwide brand, and I respect them for that.
They made money.
They made money.
There's nothing wrong with that.
$163 million in theaters for the first movie. I don't know how they did it, but hey, if you're making magic, you might as well keep making magic.
Yep.
So.
I think I might take a look at the other ones in the series and see if any of them are worth watching. I'll let you know.
Pokemon Heroes.
Yeah, Pokemon Heroes. I hear bad things about that one, but we'll see.
We'll see. I ain't got nothing else. So.
All right. Well, if you liked our lists, or if you like my list better than Derek's, or Derek's better than mine, feel free to comment and say who's got the better list. Call us idiots if you want, and give us your own list. And subscribe, please. Not to beg or anything, but this has been another solid episode of movie series Rankdown. So, this has been the Fargonauts, and have a good night.